What does a priest do when somebody comes in and confesses murder to him? I don't know, but we're about to find out. Welcome to the channel. Please subscribe if you haven't. This is Trickle Down Philosophy, where I look at scientific, theological, atheistic, any type of intriguing ideas. Let's put it that way. So we're going to learn together because I haven't seen this video. Most of what I do are reactions. Sometimes I'll see them ahead of time, but this is not one of those cases. I don't know what a priest does when somebody confesses murder. Here we go.
Father, if someone comes to you in confession and confesses that they murdered someone, what do you do? What's up, guys? I'm Father David Michael Moses. I'm a Catholic priest, and this is one of the more intense questions I get. We'll be answering lots of questions on this channel, so make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Now, this question is obviously referencing what we call the seal of confession.
What is this, confession?
Which basically means that if you come to confession, the priest can't repeat what you say. The priest can't go around saying, hey, did you hear so-and-so did this? Let me give you 3 scenarios to illustrate this point. First, if you come to meet with me in my office, not confession, we're just talking, then that's what we call privileged information. I'm not bound to strict secrecy, but if I went around saying, Sally told me that her husband Joe has a real gambling problem, then that would be inappropriate. It would just be uncharitable. It was privileged information that the person trusted me with. As a spiritual father, I want to respect the personal business of my parishioners. But here's another scenario. If someone in my office, again, not confession, tells me that they poisoned all the water in the city, then I'm obviously going to do something about it. They don't have the right to keep me in secrecy just because we spoke in my office. If someone tells me outside of confession, even in private, that they are going to harm themselves or someone else, or that there's a grave danger that either of those things might happen, I am bound by love and often by law to act on that information appropriately.
It's like
but by contrast, if you come to confession, we're clearly in the sacrament of confession, we're going through the ritual, then whatever you say in confession, I cannot repeat under any circumstances. We call it the seal of confession because the sins are sealed in secrecy. No matter what sins are said in confession, the priest cannot say or do anything about them. He can't even treat the person differently afterwards. And this is extremely serious. If a priest directly breaks the seal, meaning if they tell someone that a specific person committed a specific sin, then that priest is automatically excommunicated or kicked out of the church. It's extremely grave. So,
question, I wonder, like when a priest is kicked out of the church, is he still allowed to go to services? Or does that mean they're not allowed to step foot on the premises again in any capacity as a parishioner or otherwise?
Let's go to our question. What if the person confesses something really big, like a murder?
Some say murder?
What do I do? Well, here's the thing to understand. The sins I hear in confession, they don't belong to me. I'm acting in persona Christi, or in the person of Christ. The sins belong to God. I do have a chance as a spiritual father to offer some advice. Really, the confessional is the only place where you can bring your deepest, darkest things and know that it's going to stay there. But that freedom gives me the chance to help you see how important it is to be sorry for the sins and to try to repair any damage caused by them. I can say, hey, this is a problem. We need to make sure this never happens again. If the person has committed a crime, maybe we need to talk about the possibility of turning themselves in. But I couldn't require anyone to reveal their crime. For example, a priest cannot make someone turn themselves in for their penance. I could suggest it, but at the end of the day, that would be up to them. If someone else is being charged with a crime they committed, that injustice should be rectified.
So the idea is that the sin belongs to God, not to the person. And that's interesting because I thought he was going to say that sin is theirs. But I guess he just means that, like, it's in God's hands now, whatever that is, not mine. So I'm not here to punish the person or make life worse for them. Huh. I wonder if somebody comes in and says, Father, I am about to go kill somebody. I think, and that's in Confessional. He hasn't done it yet. I wonder what that is. There's gray areas in every line of thinking, in every school of thought. Every social construct has gray areas in it, but I wonder what this one is.
So if someone comes to me in confession and confesses that they murdered someone, what do I do? Well, I forgive them in the person of Christ. That's the power of what Jesus did on the cross. What he did is enough, even for murder. What Jesus did is enough for what I've done. It's enough for what you've done. So, if you've been away from confession for a while, today might be a really good day to start again.
All right, so then, it obviously brings up a lot of questions. Now, for an atheist, the perspective would be like, the whole thing is just a charade. I'm agnostic. I respect the various traditions because they do make things better in many ways. There are some things that are done that are worse, that make life worse for folks. And I know some folks, Hitchens comes to mind, who just think that the church, for example, is an abomination. They do all these horrible things. And other folks, I read comments on my own channel to that effect. And I don't go to church. It's not my thing. I'll go with my girlfriend on occasion because she goes, but it doesn't hold any significance to me other than going with her and to be with her because it means something to her. So I'm not here to prove anything about a belief in God or otherwise. Anybody can make up their own mind. But there is a lot of good that is done, and in some cases it's harm that's never done because maybe there's something in your conscience that says, I don't want to offend God. I don't want to be one of these bad people sitting in the pew. And you never hear about those things because they're simply not actions that were ever taken. They were no harm was ever done to everybody, just goes about their business normally. So when a crime has not been committed, you don't hear about it. Just like when an airplane does not crash, you don't hear about it. The ones that crash, that's what you hear about. And in this case, it's fascinating with the social constructs and contracts that we have. And in this case, it's understood, it's known, the Catholic Church has its rules and things sort of to the various tensions to keep things in place. And I know therapists are required, there is the doctor-patient privilege or the doctor-client privilege, but that is not universal. There are certain things, like I think if somebody confesses to a murder, I think the therapist is required to report that, or if they're thinking about doing something horrendous, they might be required. And I think most therapists will tell their clients or their patients, hey, just so you understand, if you tell me X, Y, and Z, I do have to go to the authorities. So take that under advisement in what you choose to reveal to me. I'm not fully sure on that. I'm a life coach, and so I don't have the same clients don't have the same client privilege as they do with licensed therapists or their doctors or their lawyer. So that was fascinating. I like to see how different parts of society work. Just as much as I love looking at electrons, protons, electricity, Newtonian physics, and Einstein, and all the things that James Webb is coming up with. I love looking at these things too, just to see how consistent they are and what part of society what part of the framework they fit within. So, all right, guys, hope you enjoyed that. This is a philosophically oriented channel, and this fits right in with it. Have a great day, and I'll see you on another video.